shards all over me now. Okay, so before I forget, if you should have gotten back your formatives yesterday. If you fixed them last night, make sure you get those turned in. At least for mine, I am caught up with grades now. I hammered those out yesterday finally, and lots of people are missing lots of stuff. So check your grades. Monday we'll get a grade report again. Okay. So if you're missing something on there, you got to get that done because next week Friday is the test. Okay. So last day to turn in anything, not the last day to fix anything, but the last day to turn in anything for the first time. Okay. Next week Friday. All right. So this first part you don't have to write down. Here, I actually have to put a shade on here. Okay, let's go here and there and save. Okay. So this first part, okay, this is just a refresher. Okay. When we're multiplying fractions, so what we started on Wednesday and what we did more of yesterday and we're going to do some more of today. When we're multiplying fractions, what do we do? Multiplying fractions. Multiply across, and then it's an R word. Reduce. Okay? So we either multiply and then we reduce, or what's our other option? Reduce and then multiply. Right? Okay, so we have to do those two together. Okay? It doesn't matter which order we do them in, we have to multiply across the tops and bottoms, and then reduce. Oops, I want to say that. Reduce, then multiply. Okay? So that's for multiplying fractions. Now, how do I know that I'm multiplying fractions? What are the different ways that we could have a multiplying fraction problem? Meaning, what goes in between the fractions or mixed numbers? The dot, okay, the X, or parentheses, right? Okay, with nothing else in there. Okay, so if there's nothing else in between those two fractions but a dot, the X, or the parentheses, that's a multiplication problem. Okay, love it. Okay, let's go adding and, I'm actually going to say, and subtracting. So this would have been, when did we do those? So we did those Monday and Tuesday of this week. Okay? What are my rules, my steps for adding or subtracting? First one here is we got to get common denominator. If you want, you can. It's good too, but you don't have to. Because this is all in your notes from this week. This is just like a recap of everything this week. Yep. Okay? But yeah, if you want to write it, that's fine. Step 2. After we get common denominator, what do we got to do? No. No. Look in your notes. B6, B7. Step number 2. So what do we got to do? What? We got to make equivalent fractions, right? If possible. Okay? So we got to adjust our fractions. Sometimes we have to do that for both of them. Sometimes we have to do that for just one of them. Sometimes we don't have to do that step at all. Okay? So we have, that one's kind of but we have to adjust our fractions. Okay? Step number 3 for adding and subtracting. What do we got? The whole number and the what part of the fraction? The numerator, the tops. Yep. Okay. What about the bottom of the fraction? What about the denominator of the fraction? Stays the same, stays the common denominator? Okay. And lastly, step number 4. Reduce. Yep, reduce. Okay. Okay. Questions on any of that? Now, with adding and subtracting, we're going to see a plus sign in between the two fractions if we're adding, and we're going to see a subtraction sign in between if we're subtracting. Or if we're subtracting, we also might see plus a negative. Okay? Right? And that would become a subtraction problem. Okay? So with that being said, I would like you, come on now, I would like you to do these 2 problems. 1/2 times 2/3 and 1/2 plus 2/3. Okay? 1/2 times 2/3, 1/2 plus 2/3. My plan is video watchers to let the video just roll today, because then that way you have the proper wait time and you don't have to worry about pausing. See, Mrs. Hill is gone today, so they get to watch my video. This is the video that I'm making right now. Record every day. All right, here we go. First one, are we multiplying or are we adding? Multiplying. So that means we have to follow our multiplication rules, which said we multiply across. 1 times 2 is 2. And then we have to multiply across the bottom. 2 times 3 is 6. Is 2/6 a reducible fraction? Yes, they can both be divided by 2. Okay. 2 divided by 2 is 1. 6 divided by 2 is 3. So my answer here is 1/3. Okay. Now, if we would have done that the other way, we could have divided here by 2 and divided here by 2, and then those would have gone away, and then we would have just been left with 1/3 right there. Okay? So that's why using the other order. I don't want to say other method because it's the same method, it's just in backwards order. Okay? Adding now here in part B, what do I got to get first? Common denominators. What's my common denominators other than Jesse? Of 2 and 3? 6. Do we all agree with 6? Okay. 2 times what here gives me 6? 2 times 3, so I have to multiply there by 3. So I got to multiply up there by 3. 1 times 3 is 3. So this is that step number 2 where we got to adjust those fractions. And 3 times what gets me 6? 3 times 2 there, so I got to multiply 2 there. 2 times 2 is 4. Okay. Now I can add the tops. 3 plus 4 is 7, and that's all going to be over 6. Okay, improper fraction, right? Okay, so we could, how many times does 6 go into 7? Once. What's left over? 1/6. Okay. Either one there. Yes? Questions, comments, concerns, clarifications? None? No, right. 3/4 times 3/4, and 3/4 plus 3/4.
I don't like either one of those two, so they shouldn't be part of your answer. Do you understand why? Because they're not reduced. Yeah, yeah. So don't leave them as part of your, you know what I mean? Yeah, yeah. And so you'll see on your homework that I'm hoping to put that down, like I cross them out in answers. I don't like it because you want to only reduce it in your answer. That would be the blue sheet.
There it is.
So you look at 9. It's got 1, 9, 3, and 3, right? You look at 16. 16 has 1. 1 times 12. No 9 and no 3. So can't be reduced.
Boom. Boom shakalaka. Okay? Now, on this first one, you might see it as we get more and more into the maths as we're going on here. You might see this one too as 3/4 squared. Okay? I can't remember if it was on last night's homework or not last night, we didn't have homework last night. The night before's homework, I think we had like a squared, like a fraction squared. That's what we mean by that, is we could write this problem when we're multiplying the same thing twice, okay? We can write it as squared. Okay? We do it the same way though, okay? So we multiply across the top, 3 times 3 is 9, and then we multiply across the bottom, 4 times 4 is 16. So then this is 9/16. Anything reducible out of 9/16? No. 9 has factors of 1, 3, and 9. None of those go into 16. So we leave it as 9/16. Okay. Adding, we have our common denominators already, so we don't have to do step number 1. We don't have to do step number 2 because it's already done for us. Step number 3 says, now we just add the tops. 3 plus 3 is 6, and we leave that over 4. Do I like 6 over 4? No. What can they both be divided by? By 2. Okay? So we can divide both of these by 2. And then that would give us 3 over 2, or 1 1/2. I think there's one more. I think I can. There is one more. Okay? So one more. 1 and 1/5 times 5/6, and 1 1/5 plus 5/6. Yeah. Pick it up a notch. The guy Fury that kicks it up a notch? Or is it Emerald Lagasse? One of those TV shows. They kick it up a notch. And then they throw some stuff in the pan. They BAM! If you're running out of space on your paper, you can also flip it over too. It doesn't matter to me. I just gave you a half sheet of paper just in case you didn't have any paper. Because we're running out of space and like little spaces in our notepad. start some more. You know what I mean? That'd be embarrassing.
The original 1 and 1 5.
You know what I mean? In both, I think you forgot this one right here. Anybody need some more time? All right, here we go. Multiplying. If I've got a mixed up number in multiplication, what's the very first thing that I got to do before I can even do anything? I got to make it be an improper fraction first. Okay? So that's going to be 1 times 5. We're going to multiply there. That's going to be 5. Then we're going to add that way. And so we're going to have 6/5 for that one. And then times 5/6. Okay? So which is going to be 30 on the top, right? We multiply across the top. That's going to be 30. And then we multiply across the bottom. And that's going to be 30. And what's 30 divided by 30? 1. So my answer here is just 1. Okay? But they both, 30 can be divided by 30, and 30 can be divided by 30, so if we divide both top and bottom by 30, 1. Love it. Okay? So, on this one, on the add problem, so I've got this 1 sitting out here yet. Then I've got to add to that 1/5 plus 5/6. Okay? Common denominator between 5 and 6. What's my common denominator? 30. Multiply this, the first one by 6, right? Which means I got to multiply the top by 6, so that becomes 6. Multiply the right one by 5, which means we got to multiply the top by 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Okay? Add those two together, and I get what? 31 over 30. Okay? And this 1 is still coming along for the ride. Like that. It's like the Aurora fish that swims along with the shark. Comes along for the ride. Do I like 1 and 31/30ths? No. Okay? So I've got two options here. Option number 1 is I could change, I'll pick my color here now. What? I can change this to 1 and 1/30th, and then I add 1 to it, which would give me a final answer here of 2 and 1/30th. Right? My other option here, option B, is I can take 1 and I can make a common denominator of 30 out of it. Okay? And so then that 1, which we said over here, was 30 over 30. Now I've got my common denominators, and then that gets me 61/30ths. So there's where I get both of those. And if I convert 2 and 1/30th, 2 times 30 is 60, plus 1 is 61, so it's 61/30ths. Yeah. Just either way you do it. If you leave it improper fraction or mixed up number. Yeah, that would work for me. Yeah. Both of those are the same, that's why they're both in the box. Yep. Kind of like back here, when we would, like here, improper fraction or mixed number. Okay? Good? So now we've got a homework B9. I'm going to hand out the homework. You've got a couple of minutes here to work on it yet. Also, if you haven't turned in anything, your formative, your salmon color formative, any missing homeworks, any fixed homeworks, anything like that, turn all that stuff in before you leave today.